What's up everyone? Welcome back. It's Emily from Emily Joy Wellness, and this next video is going to be my boyfriend showing you his perfect steak recipe. Like literally the perfect steak recipe. I was making myself hungry while I was editing this video and I didn't have him to make me a steak. So it's super easy. Hopefully you enjoy his little entertainment bits. But yeah, it's like the only steak I want to eat. I don't even want to go out to even like a fancy steak restaurant and eat. I'd rather just have him make it because it is so delicious, and he's got a couple little tips and tricks to make it really good. But also, like I said, it's so easy. And when you're done, you can pop on over to my Instagram and I'll be showing you his secret seasoning sauce. So enjoy and let me know if you make some steak.
How you doing, everyone? This is Reed, Emily's wonderful boyfriend that she doesn't talk enough about or show enough of. I'm going to show you all how to do a steak real quick. And this can be done on any steak. I am particularly using a flat iron. I'll go over that why here in a second. I'm going to kind of go over just the beginning steps. Backstory first off, normally I have whiskey when I do this, but I don't because I'm doing the carnivore diet with this week. So it's just me. Give and take, I get steak, but I don't get whiskey, so take it as it is. She's laughing at me behind the camera right now. So first off, preheat the pan. This is a crucial thing to do. Now this might smoke up a little bit depending on how your pan is tempered. I only use cast iron because that's what I know how to use. It's what I'm good with, and I find it puts a better crust on the steak. It should be hot enough where you can feel it from the back of your hand this high off the pan. If you have to put your hand all the way down here to feel the heat, it's not hot enough. It has to be up here. We're doing a high temp cook. As soon as that gets up to heat, you're going to go ahead and set your oven to 400. Now, while that heats up, we're going to prep the steaks. First off, I'm going to show you the steak that we're using. This is a flat iron cut. Now this is a cut that is normally not super expensive. I think it was about $20 for this whole entire cut right here, which is like a decent amount of meat. The reason I use the flat iron cut is it has the tenderness similar to a fillet, and you can see that in the marbling right here. The only thing you have to watch out for is some of the flat irons, depending where you get them, like if you get them from a major grocery store, sometimes you'll end up with these tendon lines right here. It's no problem. You can just kind of cut around that as you eat, or chew it if you want. You know, to each their own. Pretty simple to prep. First things first is going to be salt. We use the Himalayan pink salt. She got me hooked on this stuff a while back. Always season from a height so you get a nice even season over the steak. Now, when I'm doing this steak, I actually learned from a chef that I used to work under up in West Texas when I was going to school. And you're going to do pepper. Restaurant grade black pepper is better. It's going to be a little chunkier. Ground black pepper works. Don't use quite as much because it'll kind of clog the steak up and get a little too peppery. So the restaurant cracked. It's not cracked, but it's not ground. It's kind of like that in-between area. The same thing, you can see I'm doing it from a distance. Then we're going to take our seasoning, which I guess we can talk about this in a later video. This stuff is amazing. You can use it on freaking everything. And we're going to do that same thing. Now you have to be careful because it does have granulated onion and granulated garlic in it, which is really light. So if you have a fan on, I recommend turning that fan off right before you go to season your meat, because if you don't, it's going to blow it all over the place like it is right now. So season nice and well. Should have just a nice layer of that white on the meat. Use too much, it'll stick to the pan. Use too little, and it doesn't do anything. So just a nice layer just like that. So you get one side, you're gonna flip this puppy over and do the other side. Pretty simple. So you can see that's that tendon line I was talking about. I'm actually gonna go ahead and cut that out because that can be unpleasant. This knife needs some sharpening. So you can see right there where that tendon is. Once you get under it, stay right even with the meat. And the great stuff about this, you can give it to the dog. Riley, come here. Come here. Of course, before you season it. There you go. Good girl. For my birthday, can you get me? There you go. Just like that. Get that that big chunk of tendon. So you can see that's not fat, that's tendon. You can see the stringiness in it right there. It's a treat for the doggo. Right, doggo? She's already ready. You can catch it? You can catch it this time? You ready? Nope. No. Fail number 1. Let's try again. Okay, come on. Yeah, we got this. We've practiced. Hey, there we go. Success. I taught her to do that, by the way. It's all in the boyfriend. Just want to point that out. Funny enough, that's actually what her family called me for probably the good first year and a half we were dating. It was just the boyfriend. As I was meeting everybody. Hi, who's this? Oh, this is the boyfriend. Not a bad title to have, by the way. I love all of her family. The black pepper. Now, if you're like me, you get stuff all over the place. Don't worry, that's fine. That's what a vacuum cleaner's for. She's laughing again because she knows I'm probably not going to vacuum the floor tonight. If any of you have ever seen the Bob Ross memes, it's, you know, like painting happy little trees. Happy dashes of seasoning, I guess. She's rolling her eyes at me now. I know I'm making bad jokes. So that's prepped up nice and good now. So I'm actually going to do something a little bit interesting with this steak. Since it's just me eating it tonight, somebody else ate without me. It's my fault I work late. I'm actually going to only eat half of this tonight. And whenever you cut your steak, when you're doing the meals for yourself or other people, always kind of scrunch it up, especially before you put it in the pan. This is going to give you a better idea of how much meat you're really eating. Now, I'm hungry, so I'm going to cut this sucker right in half. And you can see what I was talking about, that marbling on that meat is just absolutely perfect. So, again, your pan should be nice and hot. Now you can decrease it down to about medium heat. And this is going to be a little bit of the tricky part. Make sure you've got your meat ready, because you're going to have to go fairly quick on this. When you go from the meat to the pan, so get yourself, I like to use coconut oil. For those of you that are out there watching this because you're following her nutrition channel, any oil really works. She likes avocado oil. I find coconut oil works better on meat. It tends to break down the proteins a little bit better. So that's what we're going to use today. So I'm just going to put some of that coconut oil in there. And then make sure that oil is nice and even in the pan. You don't want a hot spot. And it's going to smoke up because we have it on high heat. And the minute you're good to go, lay that steak in there. Like I said, it's going to smoke up just a little bit because I've got a little much oil to meat here. Turn that heat down, and we're going to press that meat into the pan. Nice and flat. Make sure it's nice and flat. Now we're doing this on high heat. You need a little more oil. You can always put a little more oil. And you can see that smoke's going to disappear pretty quickly as we actually start to cook this. Now a lot of this, I freshly cleaned this pan, so it's going to be a little smokier. If you've got a nicer prepped pan, it's not going to smoke up like this. Sometimes you can lose a little bit of seasoning when you're doing the other side. No big deal, just sprinkle some more on there. Ain't going to hurt anybody else. So we're doing this on high heat for a reason. We're trying to form a nice crust on it. So you can see there is a nice crust on that meat. And the flatter you get that, the even that crust is going to be. That's what you want. High temp, form that crust. You can see the meat in the middle is so nice and raw. Same thing. Press down. Bring your steak over to the center a little bit more. You're actually not going to do this side quite as long. You're going to cut this side a little bit shorter. And there's a reason behind that. You can see that meat is starting to balloon up right there. I was always told let the steak go till it's done talking, so it's about done talking. So now that you've got that, I'm going to take this puppy. This is what this preheat in the oven is for. Pop it in the oven. Now I wait for this to cook. For those of you that are nutritionists, and maybe you've always done steak the old-fashioned way, or not really ever paid attention, it's an easy guide to steak. So take your hand, right hand, left hand, doesn't matter. Touch your thumb to your forefinger. Don't press, just touch them together. Take this thumb, press on the meat. That's Rare Plus right there. That feeling pressing into the meat of your hand, that's Rare Plus. That's medium rare. Medium, well done. If you do either of those two, we got issues. So I'm gonna take this part of the steak while the other is in the oven. I'm actually gonna dry age this. Now there's different ways to dry age. I'm gonna put it in this right here. Make sure you get a nice sealing tub. Saran wrap works best. These tubs work all right too. Just beware of these tubs if you're putting raw meat in the fridge that it can mold. So you can't dry age as long in a tub. Saran wrap you can dry age long. Now that steak should only sit in the oven for about 2.5 minutes. Probably getting close to 2. So we're gonna go ahead and pop this oven open. Pull it out just a little bit. I'm gonna touch it. It's still a little. Do that test. A little bit long. In the meantime, another thing you can do is if you are making vegetables alongside your meal, potatoes, whatever, you can take this extra seasoning that you didn't do, pick it up, pop it into the pan with what else you're doing so you don't waste seasoning. It literally works on everything, and I guess I don't know when she feels like being nice to y'all. You might have to go to her Instagram to get the recipe for that, so I'll give the recipe away for the seasoning on her Instagram later. And so if you're on the YouTube channel, go check out the Instagram. If you're watching this on Instagram, well, you saw the recipe, so get back over to YouTube and watch how she made the steak. I made the steak for her. She's laughing at me again. I used to have a gaming channel before this. I'm cooking steak. I have no problems here. This is an old chef's trick. So you can take your trusty tongs here, longer the better, always. Grab that steak, get under it. Press the corner into the corner of the pan and just hold it there for a second. And the other corner. And the other corner. That's going to help lock a lot of those juices in. And now we're going to pull this out. When you pull the steak out, you're going to flip it over because that other side was your hot side for the longest. You can see that nice sear on there. It's exactly what we want. And if you look in the pan, that seasoning did its job because there is almost no steak juice in here. You've got some oil and you've got some of your seasoning left, but there's no steak juice in here. So again, what you can do is you can leave this pan for the morning, make bacon in it, make eggs in it, make whatever else you're gonna make. Turkey bacon, not bacon. Or use it for the vegetables. If you've got a lot of oil left over, sometimes I use a little more oil than normal. Same thing, dump that into your vegetables, dump that into your potatoes, whatever else. Just let it go to town. So you can see searing that edge up on there just like I told you. And that's gonna help lock in that meat, lock in those juices. And now if you take this sucker and press on it, it should be the same as right there. Perfection. We're gonna let that sit for about 2 minutes. Always let your steak rest. Never go straight from pan to plate. Let it rest for a couple minutes. Let that meat balance out. Let those juices balance out because it's a very hot steak. Okay, so that steak should be done resting now. Always, if the grain of the meat goes this way, cut this way for full effect. Hold on to that sucker. See when I cut into it. Look how just easy, no pressure on this knife. And it just glides through that meat just like a fillet. Now that's where I like it. So you can see that perfect crust to the medium to that rare center. I like mine rare plus, so I do this like this. Again, I taught y'all how to test the temperature, so you can do that. Let's go ahead and give this steak a test. See how the sucker came out. Now, Rare Plus is good for one thing. You can actually make steak sashimi. If you get a nice, a really good cut of steak, cook it like this, where it's going to come up closer to that rare. And just lay that over your rice. Oh, it's amazing. Yes, I'm compensating. Not really. It will melt in your mouth.
this your favorite part about carnivore diet?
This is the best part about carnivore. If I could have this for breakfast, lunch, dinner, I would, but my wallet couldn't do that. When we first started dating, this woman would not eat anything
What?
if it was not brown all the way through.
That was really close up.
It's fine.
Like I told you, that's the only steak that I want to eat.
You can really see just how perfect that temp is. All right, I'm eating this now. Thank you all for watching. I hope you learned how to do a steak at home amazingly. Make sure you go check out her Instagram page, her other social media pages. So make sure you go check out her Instagram, Emily Joy Wellness. Obviously subscribe and like the video. Like and subscribe. I'm out of practice. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll teach you how to make more stuff like this while on a diet. We'll see you on the next one.